Time for us now to take a look at business. That the government has embarked on a borrowing spree is not news to many Kenyans in the country. But just how much debt has the government acquired? And what does this mean for you as a Kenyan citizen? Well, Adelaide Changole tells us on this week's edition of Cause and Effect.
The government has been on an expansionary path over the last 2 years as it sought to jog the country and its badly dilapidated infrastructure into second world status. And while KRA has been ramping up collections to meet the demand for funds, the number, magnitude and speed with which the projects are supposed to be delivered has meant the state has turned ever more towards the debt market to plug its ravenous need for funds. And it would seem that this has come at a steep cost for Kenyans. According to a report from the Control of Budget, while the economy grew at just 5.5% in the year to June 2015, the country's debt stock has risen by an astounding 20.3% or 480 billion shillings in the same period to stand at 2.84 trillion shillings. This means the country's debt now accounts for a whopping 53.1% of the country's total GDP, up from 47% in September last year. Just to put this into context, assuming every one of the 44 million men, women and children in Kenya had to pay this debt today, you would be required to fork out approximately 64,546 shillings, up from 53,636 shillings in 2014. Interestingly, this debt stock is split perfectly in two, with external debt accounting for 50% of that debt, while domestic debt accounts for the other 50%. During the year, domestic debt rose 10.9% from 1.28 trillion shillings to 1.42 trillion shillings. However, foreign debt ballooned by 29.1% from 1.10 trillion shillings in June 2014 to 1.42 trillion as of June 2015, a fact that has made Kenya more susceptible to volatility in the foreign exchange markets, as witnessed this year with the Kenya shilling dollar pair.
The more we see currency volatility, it means that our debt paybacks in USD increases by its nature.
And because of this level of borrowing, the country's debt obligations count as the biggest ministry in Kenya after getting the single largest allocation of the 2.11 trillion shilling 2014-2015 budget. Kenya spent a staggering 393 billion shillings servicing both her internal and external loans during the year. And it has had an entire allocation to the county governments of 229 billion shillings, or the allocation to the Teacher Service Commission of 166 billion, or even the 270 billion shillings set aside for development expenditure by the government for the full year. Despite this, the National Treasury insists that the debt levels remain sustainable.
We are in a sustainable debt situation. The current account is also sustainable.
But with a budget deficit of 567 billion shillings for the 2015-2016 fiscal year and even more borrowing plans, this burden of servicing debt is likely to rise even further. Experts have called for all levels of government to rationalize their spending, to reduce expenditure, expand revenue streams and limit borrowing to ensure the debt levels remain sustainable.
Continue investing in infrastructure moderately. Continue to instill fiscal discipline, and if you really have to borrow on external markets, ensure that you get the timing right.
Adelaide Changole for Cause and Effect.